All right. So good morning, good evening, everyone. Um, so the topic of the day is going to be on data. So previously, what we have done, quick recap, we discussed the basics of AI. That's how we started. Then we got on to how Python can be integrated. We worked on different programs, specifically how the data needs to be handled using pandas, data frame, right, NumPy, and all. Then we also spoke about how the data needs to be represented visually, right? I mean, basics of how the data manipulation is done using any kind of language. So that part we covered, right? And then we had a quick understanding of how the machine learning models work, right? And the idea of the previous conversation was to let you know that when we have picked up a particular journey, we are starting with uh, the concepts, then we are talking about the language of choice, Python, and then we are talking about data, right? How these pieces are going to join hands, right, and help you to build models, right? So actually in that previous class, I gave you a quick understanding of how machine learning models basically works. We'll go back to that again because that is the heart of the overall program where you need to understand how machine learning works, what are the different types and techniques in machine learning, supervised and supervised reinforcement, right? And the different algorithms, the different programs, right? And how do you choose among them? Of course, as you go into this journey, right? And once the course is done, right, a considerable journey you will be traveling yourself. So in a way, you, in case if you choose to, you will be graduating into a data scientist role, or maybe an AI developer, right? So you will be dealing with different models, you will be dealing with different problem statements, right? And accordingly, you can choose which is the right option for you. So I think that is a journey that you will travel. However, I'm pretty confident that this overall training that we are doing, right, it will enable you to get into that journey without having much apprehensions. So you will be much more confident. You will be fearless, and there will be enough exposure so that you will not be scared about the different jargons, right? And specifically, people who are coming from non-tech backgrounds, they also will be feeling confident that okay, they understand some of these keywords. And sorry, while I'm presenting the screen, I think there are participants joining. If somebody can allow them to join this meet, uh, please allow them. They must be in the lobby. Yeah. So that was the whole idea. I mean, to give you a very clear understanding how the AI world is moving, right? What are the different essential skills that are required, and also to do a differentiation whether if you are coming from a business background, what is expected out of you, and if you are from a tech background, in case if you are in the development, I would say that both are the tech backgrounds, but in case if you are supposed to do development, you are supposed to write code particularly, right? um, then how should you structure your own journey? So I mean, that being said, today we are going to talk about data and the importance of data and the variety of the data that we are dealing with. So that's where I actually put up a poll as well, that uh, some of the people who are practitioners, right, I think they would either it will be a refresher session for them, or there will be a few more learnings. So in case if you think that maybe this is something which you already know, right, I suggest that maybe you can take a call, right? But those who are new to data, or maybe some of the paradigms, some of the problem statements that we deal, right, I request you to pay attention, right? um, Make sure that you're understanding the different nuances of how the data is managed, right? And try to build this muscle. If you are able to understand data, the flow, the kind of intel that you can actually extract out of it, in a way, if you can get onto into the shoes of a data analyst, a part of your data scientist journey will be easy. All right, so today's is a pretty we are going to consume the entire 2 hours. Maybe in case if you want, we can go a little more, because I just want to make sure that this entire thing, it should not take more than 2 sessions to get over. So there will be some practicals that we will do. We'll talk about some concepts, right? And then we will write certain SQL statements as well, and just to make sure that okay, you get a hang of it. Okay, so I think this is something which we have already discussed when we opened up machine learning. But again, I'll share this that okay, there are different forms in which the data is present, right? And if you look at each of these dimensions, in a way, um, it actually has revolutionized how the data is flowing into the different systems. So it is said that 90% of the data, more than 90% of the data in the overall systems, in the overall IT system across world, it got accumulated in the last 2 years. And I think this is the same speed with which it has started growing. Mobile platforms has contributed very significantly, but that's one part, right? There are many more dimensions to it. So here we are talking about Internet of Things, where the sensor data comes into the picture, cloud platforms, web scraping. Web scraping is very important for us to understand, because that is the heart, or maybe that is the technique that has been used by LLMs, right? Large language models, they have actually scraped through the web. So they have actually gone through the different websites, picked up the data which is there, right, the relevant one, and that is one of the source on top of it, which they actually have built the language model. I mean, there are few more, but web scraping is one of the prominent one. Social media, we all know that how much data is generating. Consumer transactions, e-commerce, Flipkart, Amazon, amazing level of transactions happen every year. And specifically, there are so many case studies when we talk about during the holiday seasons, right? um, you you'll see that there is a lot of traffic which actually gets diverted to these sites, right? And every year Amazon will claim certain numbers, how many billions of dollars of transaction they did. Similar thing you can see on Flipkart, right? So consumer transactions are also growing, and most of the functionality is available in the form of apps. So their usage is again an important aspect. Geolocation data, scientific research, satellite details, and then biometric. I think biometric is another very important aspect, because if you are working in any kind of healthcare industry, right, even managed healthcare, where you are working on the insurance side, then that also biometric data becomes very important. So this is about data, right? But now it is available in different forms. So I have a question now where I would like to go around the table and check what is your understanding. So I, can somebody volunteer this, please? Can Simran, can you go around the table and check for this question? Because in case if I switch to the list of participants, you will lose this context. Or you can volunteer yourself. The question is that when we are talking about structured data, which is an example? A scanned handwritten prescription, a relational data table of patient IDs and claim amounts, an audio recording of a customer call, a free text complaint email, or maybe you're unsure about it. Somebody would like
It's
to
option
go.
B. It's option number two.
Number two. That's Lakshya, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Who else would like to attempt this?
Yeah, option B.
And this is Sumit, right? Or but who's this? Okay, anybody else? Muskan, Dheeraj, Simran?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's the option B, a
Yeah.
relation database table of patients' IDs and claim amount. That is the example of
Oh,
structured data.
okay, okay, sure. So we'll come back to this. Let's talk about which is a typical unstructured data among these: CSV, JSON, MRI, SQL table. Which one is a typical unstructured one?
CSV files. Or sometimes
CSV
it becomes.
files.
Yes, sir, CSV file.
Okay, so Lakshay, you go with CSV files. What about rest of the people?
MRI
Any?
image file.
Sorry. So Visu, you are saying MRI, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Sumit,
Yes, sir, a CSV file.
CSV file. Okay. So we have got a conflict here. We have got CSV and MRI. Any more voting for any of these options? Okay. Let's move on. We'll come back to these questions. So the third question is, if you are dealing with you are working in a health insurance company, right? What will be the typical semi-structured data? Policy details stored in Excel sheet, doctor notes in PDF files, XML claim submission with nested text, call center audio recordings.
Policy details stored
It's
in
option
Excel.
A, sir. First option.
That is semi-structured, right? Okay, both of you are saying this the same option, right? Simran and Lakshya.
Yes.
Okay. What about the others? Okay. So you can probably move on. Let's state whether it is true or false. Structured data is always stored in relational databases. Is it true?
Yes, sir, true.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have got two yes. Okay. Uh, let's talk about the last question. Call transcripts from a call center are considered structured data. I hope you understand what is a transcript. And anyways, we are also transcribing this entire session.
False, sir. False.
So false.
So which kind of data it is as per you?
So it's an unstructured
Semi-structured.
data.
Unstructured data.
Isn't it semi-structured?
Sir, can be
I'm
considered
just
as
saying. Yeah. So you are saying that it can be considered as a semi-structured one.
yes, but it is not fully semi-structured, but yeah, can be considered as semi-structured.
Okay. So I think we have got a conflicting views here. So let's pause and talk about the different formats of data, right? And this is very important because these different formats of data will go and get consumed in your models that you're going to create. So we need to know the differentiation and the challenges that each of these format will throw in front of you. Sumit, so question for you: when you're talking about structured, semi-structured, unstructured, uh, what is the possible differentiation among them?
So considering structured, the this maybe the answer will be like we can extract whatever we want to do in just in a proper way and in the very optimized way. Like
So
if you want to,
structured data. Oh, sorry. Continue, please.
no issues, no issues. Please continue. Lakshya.
So structured data is basically in proper rows and tabular columns where the data can be easily stored and easily retrieved. And unstructured data is basically it's not stored in either of the tabular column and it's a bit difficult to retrieve the data.
Uh, so Lakshya, you are very clearly stating that it is only a row and column combination, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So let's go back to these questions. Uh, so I think we are very clear what is a structured data. Mm, not fully though. Right? So here the option is right. Among all these examples, maybe the ambiguity, I did not raise the bar of the ambiguity here. So it's very straightforward that a relational database definitely is going to get qualified as structured data. It's the purest structured data that is available. Now the question arises here, right? Because the understanding of structured data is kind of getting broken. So here we are talking about which is typically unstructured. So those who said CSV file, I would come back to you. But Vishu, you said MRI image file, right? Why did you say so?
So, MRI image file might not be having a clear format or what is the one structure. Uh, that is what my assumption.
Yeah,
So the other CSV or JSON, they have some semantics or a predefined structure.
yeah, correct. So I think that there were three more options. So MRI image seems to be the one which is definitely unstructured. But let's evaluate the other three options as well. I'm ruling out the option E. I'm not sure. So SQL table definitely is a structured one. The structured data is typically available in the form of rows and columns. You can clearly define that, okay, this is the column and this is the row that I'm actually referring to. And structured data is structured. It doesn't matter whether it is how easy and how difficult it is to retrieve. So you know that, okay, this is particular column and this is the row, and for which particular uh, row, or maybe in case it is you're associating that with an identity. Say for example, if you are keeping employee records, right? If it is available in the form of rows and columns, it doesn't matter as long as you can qualify that this data is belongs to a particular employee. So SQL table definitely is the one. JSON definitely is it falls into the category of semi-structured because there is some structure, but there is a lot of free flow that is happening. It is not available in the form of rows and columns. Now CSV is actually an exception, and that's where I was asking that structured data is the data that is available in CSV files. So CSV file, the data when you open it into Excel, right, is available in the form of rows and columns. It is actually a structured one. It is not unstructured, right? So this is where I think a couple of people spoke about that CSV file is a structured one. No, that's not the case. Sorry, is an unstructured one. CSV is actually not even semi-structured; it's a structured data, and this also impacts the response on the the next set of questions. Here we called out that, okay, health is which is the semi-structured data, right? And what were the details that we discussed? We spoke about Excel sheet. I think this was one of the option, and then uh, did somebody say PDF files, XML claims? So semi-structured, there are two formats at least that we can talk about, where there is a structure, but it is partially called out. It's a very loosely kept. I mean, it is not in the form of rows and columns, but you can easily differentiate that, okay, this is the data. Maybe this is the attribute that you are looking forward to, right? You can get those details. Say, for example, employee name, employee address, and all. But it is not available in the form of rows and columns. XML is one such example. JSON is another such example. So in XML, um, I'm generally, so this is a concept which actually got evolved around 20-25 years back, right? But it is still persisting, and specifically when it comes to the integration of different systems, lot many times XML is still used. So for somebody who is new to XML, um, it is something. And just a second. So it is like you write employee ID, these are the tags, right? And this is a starting tag, this is a closing tag. Uh, and here you say 1, 2, 3. So this is a part of the XML, right? It will have many more attributes, but this is in representation of XML, and it is supposed to be a semi-structured because you clearly know that okay, you are dealing with employee ID and the employee ID is listed here. At the same time, it is not available in the form of rows and columns. I hope this is clear. Uh, then the question here, everybody responded that structured data is always stored in relation databases, which is wrong because the structured data can be kept in the form of files as well. And Excel sheets are typical examples where the structured data can be kept. So relational database, you can say that okay, it's a very pure form and highly evolved, and maybe some of the functions like extraction, updation is pretty easy. But that doesn't mean that if those functions are easy, the data format itself will be called as structured one, right? All it says that okay, this is a structure and where I'm keeping the data. Called transcripts, you called out that it is unstructured, right? I think that's right. So I hope we are on the same page. Any doubts? Okay, so let's move on. Now, there is a case study which I wanted to share with you, and I wanted to share that why it is important that we understand the different data, the form of different data, and the the importance of capturing them. So, no matter where, what's your function that you're executing, whether you are from business side or you are from the tech side, right? If you're writing models, you should have a hunger to get more and more data and get more and more exposure on the domain and what are the different pockets of data which will be influencing the model. So here we are talking about a commercial insurance company, right? And so there are few things which have happened, but before we could go into that space, this company was executing their functions pretty well, right? And they had their dashboards, so everything which is expected to be done, claims, amounts, dates, all everything was captured well, right? And things were going pretty smoothly. And the way the KPIs were captured, the business was also comfortable with that. Right? So the top leadership was comfortable. The process was getting executed well. However, there were some underneath challenges. So, and specifically when it comes to fraud, right? Fraud can be executed in different ways. Lot many times, some of the frauds which you should study, it will help you understand how some of these models they try to tap into the transactions which are fraudulent. What is the psyche behind it? What are the factors that they take care of, are considered? Right? So, lot many times fraud happens when there are multiple transactions that are happening of small amounts, and specifically when it comes to money laundering. This is how the money is actually. It's not that you will move millions and millions of dollars or Indian rupees from one account to another, or maybe that is how the money will move. It actually happens in small chunks and very small chunks, $100, $500, something that where we know that the system is not keeping a tap on, right? But the number of transactions will be numerous, right? And they will be happening from all over the world. It's a very interesting case studies how the money laundering is done. it will actually kind of help you understand and enlighten that how some of the functions which are um, kind of trying to break uh, the good practices or the process which has been laid out by different authorities, right? So if you have to develop any fraud algorithm, you need to understand the how the frauds are committed. Okay, anyways, coming back to this. So what actually has happened, since it's a commercial insurance company, it will insure your offices. It can be car insurance. It can be something which has got commercial value, right? Now, what actually has happened in one of the cases which was which was caught, there was a fire that got broke in the warehouse, right? And the warehouse was hosting multiple companies. So what apparently happened, that there was a fire inspector, and there is a process involved. You can assume that when you file for insurance, there are inspections done, right? And the inspector will come and will assess the damages and will give an approval. So here that process was followed, right? And the fire inspector called out that okay, uh, the this is a warehouse which has got impacted, and the claims that have come from the different companies, right? They belong to the same fire, same incident. So what actually happened? That information was kept in the PDFs, and those PDFs were not read. So what happened? All the companies who got impacted, they filed their separate insurance claims, and some of these insurance claims were overlapping. So say for example, if I have a cubicle and it was impacted with the fire, I will say that okay, my 4 walls got impacted, whereas the 3 walls were actually kind of shared with other walls, right? So there were a lot of overlapping stuff which got, I mean, which got system. So I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Looks like there is a problem with the headphone. Yeah. So this is how the this particular situation happened, right? It is not an intentional fraud. There can be intentional fraud as well, where you try to, specifically with respect to insurance, this is how it happens, that you try to put many claims into the system, and there can be some overlaps. You will be putting small claims, and you expect them to go through. Here the case was slightly different. But why did select happen? Because the PDFs were not read appropriately, they were ignored. And then so this is one case. And in another part, what was happening, that the though the business was flourishing, but there were a lot of complaints because of the complaints were reaching out to the customer service, and there was no system to capture the transcripts. That was getting ignored. And the other part was, whenever there is a compliance audit that was supposed to be done, they had to pull out a lot of emails to prove what has been done, what has not been done, and so on. So I mean, this is the kind of challenges that were there in the system. So this in a way it reflects what actually is happening in the system. When you are dealing with the structured data, it typically talks about what actually has happened. An employee has joined an organization. So employee record has been created. It is there in your structured database. It is there in your relation database. Um, how the employee has joined, why the employee has joined, maybe that set of information is kept in maybe the interview forms, or maybe the requisition that was raised by the hiring team, right? All that, and the kind of skills that employee brings onto the table, maybe that is there in the interview forms, which is available in the form of PDFs, right? So when you, and as a data scientist, it's very important for you to understand why this particular event has happened, right? And from there you will again try to draw the patterns. The patterns will be there in the unstructured data, but why those pattern exist, you will get it from unstructured data. So this is extremely important for you to understand that, okay, when you are dealing with the problem statement where you are supposed to create a model, try to figure it out, okay, how the machine learning is working out, you need to be very demanding when it comes to the data. And this is specifically when we talk about the modern systems where we are, you may be hearing a lot about the AI powered chatbots. We are talking about the RAG systems. Right? In case if you have not heard about RAG systems, I suggest you to spend some time, understand what is happening in that particular world. Right? However, the important part is all these systems, they specify, they actually put their weight that the more information you provide us, the better response we will be able to provide back. Right? So that's where I'm suggesting that maybe going beyond relational database. A relational database is something that everybody will do. So that is kind of a common denominator, maybe the lowest point. But you have to make sure that your system adapt to many more challenges. So that's where the unstructured data comes into the picture. Mm, be it Facebook, be it X, or any other organization. In case that they have built good models, it is given that unstructured data they have captured. Okay, so with that, let's talk about the basic difference between structured, semi-structured, unstructured, and there is another form which is called quasi-structured. So structured, I think we have understood very clearly that it is available in the form of tabular representation. Please mind it, it is not saying that it should be in tables, right? Because when we are talking about Excel sheets, those are also tabular. It can be the data can be stored in DBs, spreadsheets, and all, right? It can be queried using SQL, and these are the tools, right? So I will let you take a dive into this particular table, but quickly, semi-structured XML JSON, we have already have discussed about this. Unstructured is text, images, and audio. And I think the last 4 years, the multi-model, when we say multi-model, all we are referring is that we can actually process the data which is available in the form of rows and columns, which is available in the form of files, and also the textual images and audio and video. The system or the algorithms are such that they can actually kind of understand what is the data they are holding. And a lot of, I think that is one of the advancement that has happened where these models, including LLM models, they can actually comprehend what are there in the images, what is that is happening in the audio logs, and so on. So again, I suggest you, if you can spend some time understanding what is multi-model. Then there is one more. This is called as quasi-structured, and this is specifically used. I'm sorry, I'm hearing my echo. Yeah. All right. Okay. So a lot of companies, they capture the user journey. So in case if you are using a website, be it Google, be it Microsoft, right? If they are working on their products, they would like to understand where the customer journey is actually getting stopped, where the user is dropping. So this is where the clicks in the systems comes into the picture, the text logs comes into the picture. So this is qualified as quasi structured, and these are the different tools to handle all these kind of data formats. Structured for SQL, Power BI, and then semi-structured XML, JSON, and there can be different parsers. Unstructured, we have got NLP now. I mean, the deep learning algorithms, they are pretty powerful to read the unstructured data. And then the quasi one is more from log. You have to create parsers, you have to write regular expressions and ETL tools. So I will let you spend some time. There are a lot of jargons, a lot of keywords which have been put in place here. This itself will require one session in case if we go into the details. So this you can consider as a homework. Please go through this. This will help you understand how the data is getting structured, uh, stored, and this will have a direct impact on when you are going to choose the different algorithms, because different algorithms will act kind of differently with these kind of data formats. Okay, so I think this is what we have discussed. So now let's move on to the data storage mechanism, how those data which we have just discussed, whether it is structured, semi-structured, unstructured, right? How that is getting stored. So we have got RDBMS, which we have already discussed. Then there is a lot of you will hear a lot of buzzword around NoSQL, and I'm not sure how many of you actually have been using it. I know for sure a couple of you already use NoSQL, specifically when it comes to storing key value pair, which is kind of a dictionary data, right? NoSQL is used. We also have data lake where semi-structured and huge amount of data if you want to say. And then we have got a different data warehousing solution where you keep a snapshot, and a lot of transformation actually is done before you're keeping the data in the data warehouse. Uh, and these are the different options which are available to store each of these data formats. So you can use to store RDBMS data. You can use MySQL. You can SQL Server as well, right? So this, please go through this table at your own convenience, but this will give you some understanding that okay, if there are so many tools available, what is the reason why actually they have been built, right? And yeah, before we go there, is another important aspect that when you look at graphical data, right? So it is kind of a web data, a data which is available in the form of kind of interconnected data sets that we have, and this is where the lot of work is being done. Neo4j is a prominent tool, right? And there are options which are available from Amazon and Microsoft. So maybe when you are dealing with some kind of in the recent times, particularly what I have seen, there is a growing trend that graphical data is being brought into the machine learning models more and more. So maybe you need to spend some time to understand these aspects. And if you typically look at, we all come from different industries. Now, uh, some of these industries also have their own nature. So they can be structured, they can be unstructured. So if we look at RDBMS, right, banking sector particularly, right, there can be pockets, of course, where the unstructured data is kept, but largely 60 to 70%, or maybe more than that, the functions are very well defined, and typically they are run using RDBMS. When it comes to e-commerce side, startups, right, document stores are required. I mean, there will be multiple formats and all. Gaming, tech, IoT generally runs on IoT key value stores. So I mean, they are more of dictionary kind of data that they use. Again, there is a lot of jargon here. A lot of research has been done on these slides. I request you to spend some time, qualify, okay, where your industry is, right? What kind of DBs probably have to deal with, and what kind of because they are in themselves, they are a branch. So the moment we talk about how the graph DBs work, how data lakes work, how data warehouse work, they are not only a branch in itself, they are uh, pretty powerful. There are so many jobs that you will figure out in each of these pockets. So you please spend some time in understanding how the data probably which is relevant to you, what is the format that you're dealing most of the times. And I'm referring this because you're already working, right? And you're working in a particular stream. So it's not that you're only learning the technology, you are also trying to understand that, okay, what you're learning in these sessions, how you are going to implement them in your day-to-day work. So this is an important piece of slide, this and the previous one, where you need to qualify, okay, which one is relevant for you. Okay. Any questions so far?
No, sir.
But is it too much to consume? And the question probably the people who are coming from non-tech and their profile is also such. Are you okay? There are so many keywords and jargons I have dropped into these slides.
Trying
Are
to
unnecessary here. I think trying to understand and relate in the day-to-day activity. Few that obviously because I hire for few profiles, so I'm able to relate. But to know more about it, like you said, that I may have to spend time offline. Only then I'll be able to relate it completely. But
Yeah,
few is very new for me. So yeah, I'm trying to understand.
yeah, yeah. So mostly specifically for you,
Mm.
I think what will be relevant is that since lot many times we deal with the employees, right?
Hmm.
So the RDBMS will come into the picture, and
Okay.
when you're dealing with a lot of profiles and all, right? That's
Hmm.
where the NoSQL document part will come into the picture.
Hmm.
So maybe you can start working on these two uh, areas,
Okay.
right? And maybe then gradually you can move into data warehousing and data lake space, right?
Okay. Sure.
Specifically when it comes to Microsoft, right? The engineering team is involved in these places, data lake
Hmm.
and data warehouse. Right? Graphical adoption, I think, is still limited in Microsoft. But yes, of course, RDBMS is everywhere.
Okay.
So this is how probably, I mean, picking how you can probably pace up your understanding. I mean, this can be an example for others too. So when, say for example, Visu, in case if you are thinking what is relevant in your system, right? Maybe you will have different options. Again, maybe you will pick up those and try to spend some time how the data is structured, and maybe Sumit similar kind of dimension, Harsh, Muskan maybe similar kind of dimension. I think for you, Muskan, Chopra, Muskan and Dheeraj and team, right? Maybe it is actually an RDBMS. Uh, I think most of the data that it is kept in your systems, it qualifies into this bracket, right? But the nature of the industry which you're dealing with, it has got a lot of unstructured data, right? So that's where the NoSQL will come into the picture. In case if you're doing any kind of analytics, the data warehouse will come into the picture. Okay. Okay. Now we are getting into the very basics. I am sure that some of you already would know RDBMS, and because again we have got diverse set of people here, so I have to start with the basics. And in case if you know it, please you can also contribute uh, with examples. I welcome you to do that. Here we are talking about the definition of RDBMS. It's typically any system where you are storing the data, which can be in the form of relation. And uh, when you set up a relationship, it's more in the form of primary keys and foreign keys. So, say for example, uh, and I'm not sure whether Rajesh is there in the call, but maybe Rajesh Mastri, um, for you to relate to this is that maybe there is an order ID, okay, where the order details for particular order, say customer name, address, and many more things are listed. Right? But within that order, there are 10 different items that have been ordered. Typically, the way you will do it on Flipkart and or Amazon. Now, the way that it will be kept in the system, that there has to be some kind of relationship between these two different pockets. Okay. You will have an order master, you will have an order detail, and this is how the structure will be kept, right? So when you have the ability to relate two different tables or two different entities using primary key and foreign keys, this is the typical definition of an RT. Now that also invites another set of questions: what is the primary key? What is the foreign key? So when you are dealing with when you are working on a table and you want to uniquely identify a particular row, you use it for a primary key. Say for example, employee ID is a primary key, and it's the primary key in the employee master table. Now, if you take employee, if you are referring to employee in any other table, say for example, which department, the department master, and it actually has got multiple employees in it. Right? So you will not use a name and you will qualify the people like that. You will actually refer them using the employee ID, right? So, but employee ID is actually a primary key in the employee master, whereas in the department master or department table, it is getting referenced. So that's where the concept of foreign key comes into the picture. Right? So again, I have to rush through some of these topics because they itself will require a couple of hours of sessions to elaborate. But I'm just in a way, it's just a touch base. Uh, what is primary key, foreign key? But people who are actually going through this content for the first time, they need to spend some more time. And you can always reach out to me offline. I can have a separate conversation, maybe 30 minutes, an hour, something of that sort, where it can speed up your learning. Okay, so we spoke about primary key, we spoke about foreign keys. Database schema is the structure, how you are creating and before we go to database schemas, you need to understand that, okay, you have created uh, an employee master, you have created a department master, maybe there are some salary records and the performance and many more such kind of tables. So you need a container to hold all these details, and that is what is a database. Database actually is a repository where you have data around for multiple entities. It has got multiple tables uh, within it, right? And when you are defining a database, the definition itself, I mean, that's how the schema is created. So typically, when we talk about database, it's a combination of tables which has got columns, relationship, constraints, and many more. We have got primary key, which is again we have called out that, okay, it has the ability to identify a particular record uniquely in the system. So employee ID cannot be there cannot be two different employees with the same employee ID. That people cannot have same Aadhaar number and so on, right? So there are numerous examples that you can quote for primary keys. They cannot have nulls in it, so you cannot leave them empty. However, blank and not null is different. You must know about this. Even null is not equal to null. That's how we qualify. Uh, okay, and we also spoke about foreign key. In case if there is a primary key defined in one table, if it is getting referenced in another table, it is foreign key. And you actually put a syntax that, okay, if in the department employee ID is supposed to be captured, right? Essentially, it should capture only those values which are defined in the employee master, and there are syntaxes to it. We'll go into that. This is a pictorial representation. So here, when we are defining a student, you are calling out that student ID, roll number. I mean, typical examples, right? This is a primary key, and so if it is a primary key, it will be unique. It will not allow you to have nulls. Then there are a few more columns. Now there is another entity by the name classes, and the class ID is the primary key here, right? And it has got a few more attributes to it. Then we have got enrollment. So a student is enrolling into a particular class, right? So this is how the associations are built. And this is a representation of one to many, many to one relationships. So in a way, just to simplify, a class or the enrollment will have multiple students in it. Or maybe enrollments, you can assume that there are different courses. And class, you can assume that those are different course IDs. Right? So when enrollment is happening, a student can enroll into multiple courses, and at the same time, one course can be availed by multiple students. So this is a one-to-one or many-to-many relationship. This is how we depict. So this is a pictorial representation. We have got primary key, we have got a foreign key, we have got a primary key representation, right? And this is a joining table. So for people who are already in the development background, it's a no-brainer. They already know it. But those who are coming from non-tech side, I think this is something which is important for you to understand. Okay, and now there is a criteria. So I will skip this particular part because there is too much theory that I have shared. But typically, the data can be stored in a DBMS and RDBMS. So this particular table talks about what is the difference between DBMS and RDBMS. And as you know, as you can see, the difference is here in terms of R. So how this actually changes the entire stuff, because there are some DBMS systems and there are a lot of RDBMS systems, and they have captured the market differently. So I will let you go through this particular slide as well, but I will revisit everything in the next conversation. I believe that some of you already would know this, and some of you probably have to spend some time. Uh, Important part, when you are dealing with the RDBMS, typically it follows asset properties. It's a very typical college or school level question that please state what are the asset properties. So when we say asset properties, we are referring to atomicity, we are referring to consistency, isolation, and durability. Right? So when we say atomicity, we are talking about all steps in a transaction is complete or none. So in a way, if you say that um, uh, uh, an account A is transferring the money to account B, right? So in one place, a credit has to happen, and another place, a debit has to happen. And it should not be the case that it place, but the credit failed, right? So it has to be done in a way that it is atomic, right? All steps are done or none of none. So this is the definition of atomicity. Then consistency is all about the rules and constraints. So say you are referring to employees, right? And you want to make sure that their education criteria should be maybe more than graduate, maybe they must be PG, or maybe their age, it should be more than 21 years, right? And if you have applied that constraint, right, how consistently that constraint is being managed in the system, right? It's about consistency. Then there are transactions. So when you're dealing with multi-user systems, I hope you understand that there's so many transactions happening, and in case if the transaction can impact one another, so it's kind of a problem in itself. So the isolation talks about that transaction can run in silo. So it will not be impacted by other transactions which are happening. Right? And once the changes are submitted in the system, right, they are permanent. uh, in case if you have added a particular employee into the system, it is going to stay in the system unless until you explicitly go and delete that particular record. So these are the asset properties, and when you are dealing with RDBMS particularly, or any kind of system that you're creating, transactional systems, uh, uh, developers will make sure that they're writing a code which is following all these properties. Now, as a data scientist, it is possible that you, while you are working on data, you see that, okay, maybe there was a transaction which actually has been called out as complete, but you see some exceptions out here, right? And you see that, okay, maybe a part of the transaction was carried out and the other part failed, right? So should you treat it as exception, or should you treat it as a problem that you need to discuss with the development team? So those things are important for you to understand. uh, with respect to the RDBMS, we have got MySQL, Postgres, Oracle, Microsoft SQL. SQLite is the latest one, and I think this is pretty much in use. Even the link that I have provided to you is from SQLite, so it will help you to create an online lab. But again, these are the different offerings from different organizations. Okay, so this was pretty basic, and at the same time, I know that I have run through this very quickly. Uh, but I'm open to questions in case if it is completely going haywire, specifically for you, Mr. Mustri, and in case if it is also equally applicable for Rajesh and Simran, maybe Vishu, please let me know. I can go into the details and explain them now as well.
Arun, I will go through these terms again, then I'll ask because some terms are really new for me.
Okay, so I think I get your point, Simran, and I was also thinking that maybe we can have a session specifically for those who are going through these terms for the first time. I can have a separate 1 hour conversation with you and others who believe that, okay, this is too heavy for them, and maybe they need, I mean, heavy in the sense that, okay, the way it has been paced, it is just too quick for them to understand, and we can have hour or two discussion, and I can explain these terminologies. So I can have a separate conversation with you, Simran.
Thanks.
Okay. So quickly moving on to the next step is, I was just trying to make sure that there are some uh, uh, labs we can do, uh, and with that intent, I thought, okay, let's try to create a e-commerce kind of database. Right? So when you're dealing with e-commerce, right, you I have picked up certain elements, certain entities, and you can create tables around it. So obviously it will have customers, it will have items or products, right? And there can be some categories and some orders are taking place. There can be many more entities or tables, and um, please do understand that there are some synonyms which I'm using interchangeably. Entity and tables here are same. Some of the literature that you will go through, some of the books, they will also call it as class, right? Because it's kind of a abstract representation of what a customer is. So please don't get confused. They are one and the same thing. And in case if you are facing any kind of challenge in my language, please do let me know so that I also make sure that I'm conveying uh, uh, the right stuff to you, so that you are able to understand and relate. So okay, so if we look at customer table, we have got the ID, name, email, registration, and maybe the login timestamps and so on. So it's important for you to, and it's very because most of us are now practitioners. Uh, so it is kind of very intuitive that you will understand. Okay, maybe when you are dealing with the customer, what kind of attributes the customer should have. Maybe the address is missing here, or maybe a few more details. Similarly, when you're defining the product, right? The product will have a name, it will have a price, right, and a few more details. And the product will be falling into a particular category, right? So you need the category table. So say you are category can be electronics and so on. Right? Again, very intuitive and something which is very basic and that comes into our day-to-day execution. And then we place orders. The customers will place orders. So we already have spoken about order master and we have spoken about order items. So maybe we will have two different tables. Actually, it can be many more. In actual practical situations, there are numerous tables that will get created. So just basic representation. Maybe when you are trying to practice, right, you can create these tables in SQLite, and then you can play around. Uh, okay. Uh, yeah, I think this is another important thing that you should know. When you are creating a table, what is the idea behind creating a table? You want to capture the data, right? And when you are capturing the data will have a different data types. So something that we already have studied in Python as well, right? So I'll be quick on this. There are different data types which are available in integer, right? Which is again there will be some confusion. No, for not you, but at least for developers, it's a challenge because the different databases they will have slightly different. I mean, here and there, maybe they will call out one of the DBMS will call out as int, the other can call it as integer. So there is some minor confusions here and there. And so we have got integer, we have got small int, again depending on the kind of data that you are storing, right? And all these, why we have got so many different data types for the same data, integer, small int, big int, right? We have got decimals, we have got float, and we have got real. Again, everything is actually kind of numeric data, right? Now, why we have got so many data types? Because we are going to capture different data. Say in integer, we have got age and count, right? Which can be in case if you're looking at age, maybe you're dealing with 2-digit numbers or 3-digit numbers at the most. Quantity can be probably 5 digits, 6 digits. So when you're defining the database, the you need to think about the optimization a lot, because dealing 100 rows versus dealing 1 million rows is actually kind of uh, it will put you into a different kind of pressure. And in case if you have not picked the data type appropriately, your database can unnecessarily sulk, right? Where you should be using 1 GB of data, you may end up using 5 GB of data, or maybe a little more than that. Those things can happen, right? So this is important that you identify the what kind of data type that you are using and use it appropriately. And then in terms of alphanumeric, we have got char, varchar, and text blobs. And again, they have got different syntaxes. Char is when char or char, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Is when you're kind of clear that okay, how many characters the particular column will hold. Right? When you're not clear, you will use varchar. Right? So it's kind of a variable length. That's why char and varchar is variable characters. And then we have got text and globs, where you are dealing with larger textual data. So now and yeah, last but not least, this is where most of the developers they will have challenges. I think the systems that we are using now are much more involved. 10, 20 years back, dealing with data types was a nightmare in itself, and specifically when they were supposed to be integrated. I mean, system A talking to system B, developed in different RDBMS, different languages. There, the data types such as date and timestamp will throw a lot of challenges. So we have got date, we have got time, and timestamp is something which is kind of a log data where what is when you are taking some actions, uh, uh, the timestamp is getting recorded. It is more from the audit standpoint. Okay, this action Arun took, maybe Arun has transferred some money to Vishu's account, right? And this has happened at 12 o'clock something, right? So it will capture the timestamp. A very basic syntax, how the table needs to be created. For dev team, it is uh, uh, very well known to them, right? For non-tech, this is the syntax. This is the name of the column. This is the name of the table. Create table customers. Uh, Most likely, you will not be even for the non-tech folks. You will not be creating these kind of syntaxes. This will be probably available, or maybe you can use a lot of UI-based tools. But it is important for you to understand how things work. So we have got customer ID, and we are putting it's going to be of integer type, and this is a primary key that we are calling it out, right? And it is auto increment. That means that okay, it will you don't have to put any value. It will pick up. It will be picked up by the system itself. We're storing where email, registration date, which is a timestamp one, right? And last login. Some of the details that you're capturing for a customer. Once you have created a table, you would like to see okay how what kind of data it has, right? So maybe you want to get the data, and this is where the SQL statements comes into the picture. We'll talk about it how this works. Maybe and this is the insert statement when you're inserting some data into the tables. So what we can do, we can quickly go into SQLite. Yeah, you can open this um, and maybe uh, I request the team, you can execute some of these statements which I'm going to put into the chat window. I know for the devs it's very basic, so I will let you take a call. But for others, I request you to execute this so that at least you get a hang of how the lab is going to work. So when I execute this, you see that okay, it has got executed. So this is a SQLite UI. This is where you are going to run the commands, right? And this is where you can see the structure. The moment I actually ran this SQL create table command, I see the table has been created, right? And now if I say select star from customers, and then this, so this is the output. Now I actually already picked up some statements so that it is quick for us. Let's assume that we are now going to insert this, and let's run this. So it got inserted. Unfortunately, it's not showing any kind of status. Maybe there is something where no. Maybe this is how it works. But let me run this again. Yeah. So you see that okay, the data has been created. Here, this is an insert statement, which is kind of a data modification language where you are inserting a, a row into the table customers, right? And it was as state as this. Customer ID was a auto increment, so it already it automatically picked up one as the customer ID. The name, right? The email registration date was a timestamp, so it actually has picked up on its own. Again, the last login was supposed to be inserted, but it's not a default one. When you say default, it will pick up some value which the system has identified. If you provided information, it will override that. So if we can run these statements quickly in your system, I think we'll move on to the next one. Create this. We can take a minute pause and request you to execute these. Are we done? Firstly, are you able to access the site? Are you able to execute the command?
Yes, I'm able to access. I'm trying to execute the command, Arun.
Okay, sure.
Arun, can you please paste the command again?
Yeah, sure. So this is the first statement is about how you will create a table. The next set of statements is how you will extract the data and how you will insert. But it's a very, very basic one. Uh, Mostly in case if you are facing any challenge, you need to put this command here in this particular block,
Hmm.
the middle one, right? And you can highlight it like this and run it. Maybe F5 will also work, but I'm not sure. Uh, Mostly, in case if you are facing any challenge, you can share your screen so that.
Yes, Arun, I'm throwing error. I'm sharing screen.
Yeah, sure.
So when I click run,
Can you do this? You select. Uh,
Can you add semicolon at line number 8 after 8?
after
Line number 8 at line number 8.
so I
Yeah.
need to put a semicolon here.
Put it. Yeah.
Okay.
Can I hover? What is that error? Yeah. Can you give it a try once? Semicolon, not colon. Semicolon. Yeah. Yeah. I can give you a run. Okay. The table has been created. You can select the last 3 rows and run. Yeah. I think it is successful. If you want to see the data, run only line number 8.
yeah.
Okay. You can hide the below part, green color one, right? There is a close button.
Sorry, I'm not able to hear you clearly.
Actually, what Vishwa is suggesting is that this green stuff which is coming, responsibility for, is there a way to close this? Yeah.
I closed it. Yeah.
So it actually worked.
So I think the error first was I was not putting a semicolon here.
And why it happened so? Because I gave you command in uh, three different sets. Right. First was create table. So if you click on that particular statement only, and if you run it, it will run. But when you run the statement in no, not this one. I mean the statement starts from create table and it ends on line number 7.
Okay. Okay.
So this is this is the construct, right? But the table is already there in the system.
Correct.
Right? So that's why it will not allow you to execute this. Uh, why semicolon was required? Because you are running these commands in a batch. Batch is when you are dealing with multiple commands given in a single row, and then
Okay.
the compiler will expect you to do a differentiation where this particular command is getting over, where the next command is starting. So semicolon will do that separation.
Okay. Understood.
So if that's the case, let's move on. Let me take the screen back. Simran, are we good?
I am facing issues, but I'll ask you later. I'm trying by myself.
If you want, you can quickly share. We can solve it.
Okay. Is my screen visible?
Yeah.
Is my screen visible? So I need to run this statements, right?
Yeah, I think the same thing. After customers, put a semicolon. Yeah, line number 9. I think you have got a line number 8 which is not needed. You can remove that. Yeah, now you can run this.
So I need to run
After
from.
you can run the entire thing. After customers, we need a semicolon. After customers, select line number 8.
Okay.
Yeah. In any case, customers already has been created. Oh, Yeah, so
Okay.
it actually worked.
Yes.
You're not running in the batch now. It is already there. Can you now select only the line number 8?
Only line number
Line
8.
number, yeah, yeah, yeah. So see what is happening. The first 7 lines, you are creating a table. That's a
Yes.
syntax, right? The next line, line number 8, actually you are checking what all data is there in the customer table which you have created. Line number 9, number 10, you are inserting a particular record into the table, right? And when
Okay.
you again fire select line number 8, it actually inquires what kind of data the table has. So
Okay.
fairly straightforward, but please try to get a hang of it. Try to create more and more tables, and once you have understood this, there should not be any hesitation in looking into a definition which is provided by ChatGPT. You
Okay.
can request, you can LLMs to give you a syntax. You can run it. The idea is that you should get familiar with the labs.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So let me share my screen again. So this is the place where we spoke about. Yeah. So create table. Then we have got this insert. There are many rows which I have created. You can go ahead and execute this once I give the PDF copy of this presentation to you. Okay. Now, when you're dealing with the SQL, these are the uh, different statements, or maybe different languages. I mean, SQL or database languages. It has got multiple parts to it. The first one is DDL, data definition language, which where you are creating a data, and the structure, say create table, or maybe you want to modify the table or you want to drop it, right? So we have got create, alter, and dropping objects, right? Then we have got data manipulation, where how the data is going to manipulation here means insert, update, delete kind of thing, right? So we have got insert, update, and delete different syntaxes for this. Query language is where we use the select statement. So you use select and the column names. You can use star as well, and from which table. So this is the DQL, and then we have a DCL where you want to restrict the kind of data will be entered, right? Or you are giving some kind of permission to some set of people. Maybe some of the tables cannot be seen by everyone, right? All those things comes into the category of DCL. See, practically you have used everything. It's just that here we are trying to create a distinction between them, right? And then we have got a transaction control language. A simple example where money is getting transferred from account A to account B. Um, you want to make sure that if the credit is happening, the debit is happening, credit should also take place. Otherwise, the money will get lost, right? So you have to ensure that you're creating a transaction and the transaction is controlled well. So we have commit, we have rollback, and save points in that. Okay. Some of these we will cover, not everything, but again, lot for you to consume. At the same time, you don't have to go too deep into it, but please understand the basics, how the system works. So I think we have seen create statement. We have also seen how the select statement works, but this is the syntax. Select from, right? And in between there will be columns. And then we also have where and combination of where. So you would know that, okay, when you're dealing with huge data sets, you need to know which uh, uh, which row you want to deal with. So in case if you are pulling data for, say, for a customer name Akar, right? So you have to specify the where clause here. that condition, how you are going to put up, and you can also then add multiple dimensions to it. Say maybe the name of the customer should be Akash, and this, and the phone number should be 1 2 3 4 and 6. I mean something of that sort, right? So this is where you will bring and construct into it. When you're dealing with the data, you have to order it, you have to sort it the way you do it in Excel. I'm sure that those who are not coming from the RDBMS side, or maybe from the development side, I'm sure that they are using SQL. So the lookups, the VLOOKUPs, right, or maybe the sorting that you do, the same thing you will do in SQL as well. So you have order by clause, and you can order on multiple columns if you want to. If you're getting some details and you want to limit the number of rows which is being given by the select statement, you can limit them, right? You can do a mix and match. So in case if you are very much interested in SQL and writing those statements, I can provide you some references of some websites so that you can practice. And I strongly suggest everyone, even for the devs, please use the platform HackerRank. HackerRank is a very powerful platform for you to learn, you to practice. It will give you a lot of quizzes. It will give you a lot of practical situations, and then it will ask you to, okay, for this particular practical situation, write a query, create a database on the basis of that. It will actually strengthen your understanding of how RDBMS works. And lot many times, specifically for students like Lakshya, having tracking your rank on HackerRank, also there is a lot of incentive behind it. You can go and share when you are applying for any kind of opportunities that, okay, this is your rank, this is where you stand. And some of the organization do give a recognition. At least we at Tech Button, we do give a recognition to some of these platforms. Okay, so then you can write advanced query. When you are dealing with nulls and you are extracting the data where there are nulls, how you want to deal with that? You can, again, all of these things you would have done in some form, maybe in Excel, maybe in some other place. I'm sure theoretically you would have done. How, when you're dealing with the where clauses, when you are putting some restrictions, you use and, or not. Right? Typically, what we studied probably in 12th, the different gates, right? Logical operators also work in the similar fashion. There are few commands which are very specific to RDBMS, like for example, between, you want the records of the student whose age is between 19 to 21, something of that sort, right? And maybe you want to pick up the records for those students who are living in, say, Chandigarh, who are living in Delhi, who are living uh, in a different state, right? So you can apply all those checks in the way clause. Then you can also do some kind of pattern matching. Again, if you are operating, if you are working on Windows, right? Sometimes you want to, that there is a file in the system, and the name probably starts with my log or daily log, but I am not able to recall the entire name and where I have kept it. So you will do a pattern matching search using like, or maybe you just go and put the syntax in the window, right? Maybe the text and star around it. So similarly, you can do some pattern matching here as well. So if you want to get the name of all the people whose name starts with, say, A, right? You will say A like A and star. Functions and aggregations. I think let's not go here as of now. I think because already there are too many commands we have discussed. Let me see if we have got any kind of, yeah. So up till now we have covered. Let's quickly look at how these can be applied. So for this, maybe what we can do is just go into, we have to create data as well. I'll quickly do that. I can also provide that these into your into the chat window, so that if you want, you can also execute this in parallel. I have picked all these insert statements which I had already created. Let me just I ran right. Okay, now if you are able to follow my screen, I actually have inserted all these. There are no issues, no bugs. Now let's do a select star. So we have got all these rows here. Now I want to extract the name, the customer whose name is say starts with Priya. Select star from customers where first, this is a column name, first name, like starts with Priya and can end with anything. Maybe the syntax will be here and there. We will fix it. So there was no problem with the syntax, or maybe there was a problem. Start with Priya. We have that name. Now we have got, so ideally should have picked it. Let's do this. First name. Started like this. So yeah, so here you have provided a condition, or you want to say the point that I'm raising, and specifically Mashri and Simran, this is a playground now for you, right? You need to spend some time so that you become comfortable with all these jargons and how the data is being extracted. So that you are much more comfortable, right? Sometimes, specifically for you, Simran, when you are dealing with automation and all, right? A lot many times you have to deal with some of these syntaxes. Right? Okay, again, so I think you can experiment these commands. I have just gave an idea that okay, how the data can be created, how in case if you want to execute all these data formats, you can easily do that. It should not be a challenge in itself, but I can also do one thing, because at this point in time it is only talking about the different syntaxes and abilities. I can provide you offline. I can provide you the SQL statements so that you can play around with it. But for that, Simran, must say you have to let me know. Okay. Ideally, I would request you to maybe you can take help from LLM, right? Write a syntax and then try to execute. I think that ways your understanding will also get developed.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Then I think a lot of things that we, when we deal with the data, a lot of things we are supposed to do. And say, for example, if you lot many times you have to extract a part of the string. Maybe you want to extract the starting 5 different alphabets. right? All those things, there are different functions which are available. You have to identify the length of the text that you are extracting, right? So for that, there are some string functions which are available. You can use them directly in your SQL queries. Upper, substring, length, these are predefined functions which are available. When you're dealing with the numeric data, um, and again, it is very similar to how things will work in Excel. Um, so same thing is available in SQL as well, right? So when you're dealing with the integers or maybe the decimals, you would need rounding of the numbers. You may need the absolute value, right? So some of these functions are available. Uh, then comes some very important functions where you want to do some kind of aggregation. And as a data scientist, when you're dealing with the data, please, the team that is providing you the data, please ask them that do not give us aggregated data. Aggregation you can do on your own. You need the grain level data. So say, what does that mean? In case if there are 1,000 different orders that have been done in the system, right? You would like to go into each and every transaction. What kind of orders have been issued? What kind of items that were there contained in each of the orders? You would like to go on to that particular level. Aggregation doesn't help a data scientist. In a way, when I'm saying aggregation, if you are getting one single report that okay, how many orders were done in a particular day, what is the total quantity, what is the total money that was involved, and so on. So this is a record that will not help you, and you can take it as a blanket statement. There can be rare exceptions to this particular statement which I am making. You should always go with a grain level data. I mean, what has happened at the very lowest possible transaction level. You have to reach to that level. But again, in case if you have now you have created your models, you have some kind of understanding at your end, right? And you want to aggregate yourself. Some of the aggregated functions you can use. Count will give you how many records are there. Some will give you it will aggregate a particular integer column, maybe say the revenue, or maybe the uh, maybe the transaction value, right? Averaging, minimum, maximum, we have already discussed. These are some of the statistical functions that you can use. Again, when you're dealing with the data, you need to group sometimes. Aggregation examples we have already done. There is another command. When you're doing a grouping, you can use having instead of select. Sorry, instead of where. Uh, most of the times, I would say that 90% times you will not use having clause. Your life actually will dwell between select and where. Select and where. Even if you become a developer, SQL developer, most of the times you will be actually spending time on that. And there were times when I think a lot of UI tools are now available, but there were times when you have to were supposed to write multiple pages for one particular SQL statement when you're dealing with the ERP packages. Fortunately, we are not living in those days. There are some wizards, there are some tools that can help you build the SQL statements now. So all these things which I'm suggesting, you can there will be some mechanism depending on the database that you're dealing with. There can be some no code, low code kind of stuffs available, which you can drag and drop, and then it will actually create a SQL out of it. So you can use that as well. Okay. Uh, I think for now we can probably stop here. I think there are too much content I have delivered today, and at a very rapid pace as well. So before I go on to the joins, which is in itself a dimension, I think it's better to pause for now. I know I have run through some of these slides very quickly, but the idea was that we do not want to spend too much time on the language side, on the data side. I think most of it is known to us, or practically we have been exposed to. So I will stop here, uh, but a lot of practice is required, right? And those who are already practitioners, I am sure that when you're going back to your offices, your corporates, you will be doing similar kind of things. So I think for you it is good, but for somebody who is new to this, please practice. The more you practice, the more comfortable you will be. So I think we can stop here. In case if you have any question or you have any request, maybe a separate class, I can take it up offline. You can call me and have a conversation with me. Are we good for now?
Yes, sir, I think we agree.
Sumit, how is this for you? I know that you come from a tech background. Um, so is it too basic for you?
Sir, nothing is too basic. Recalling our basics are also good so that we can refresh them. But yes, considering those who are non from non-tech background are not using SQL, this is the correct way where they can also cope up with everything, and they can start framing the sentences. They can start framing the queries. And before skipping, before jumping to the joins part, it is a very good thing that you are stopping here so that they can invest some time in the basic queries and they can get a clear idea how to run SQL queries and all. So that once we move to the join part, then it is a typical thing where we will creating the different using the joins and etc. So they should definitely do the hands-on so that they can have a very pretty good idea about the queries and how to write. What is the basic reason why we are writing the queries and all? How to play the data which we have inserted inside the table. So it is a good thing that they should invest some time and they can have a good idea about this.
Sure. Thank you so much, Sumit. I think we are on the same page. And yeah, so I'll provide you the the PDF for this, right? In fact, it covers more than what we have covered today. It will have the details of the forthcoming session as well. And if I look at it, I think we are on, maybe in the by next class we should be able to close this for sure. And if we get some time, we can get on to the next stuffs as well. But I will plan it and will let you know if we are going to spend the next session also only on SQL. I will let you know, but I do not have any intention to stay for more than 1.5 session on this particular topic, because we want to get into the machine learning again and start practicing the models. Okay, I think if that is the case, will stop here and we'll meet again in the next session. And I'll I'll share some of the details to on the group. Please try to practice, try to acknowledge, and maybe we are also nearing towards a place where we can have maybe the first test, maybe the quiz, where we can cover up the contents that we have so far discussed, just to make sure that uh, uh, they're getting appropriately absorbed at your end, right, the concepts and the things that we are discussing. Okay, so I'll come back to you, but please expect some action on the WhatsApp group this week. All right, thank you so much,
Okay.
and I'll speak to you again. Thank you so much.
So before you
Thank you,
stop
sir.
the meeting, I just want to request one thing that it will be a good thing that if you can arrange in half an hour QA session as well for the previous class. On Sunday we have a regular class, so for half an hour if we can schedule a Q&A session on Saturday, so that we can review the previous things which we have already covered, and everybody and anybody is having any queries, so we can discuss. Because during the class, discussing the queries is not a good option, and things if somebody have missed will be covered in that.
Uh, yeah, I think so. So I mean, there is some practical challenge. I think it can actually be applicable for the entire team. So before we log off, let me respond to that. First of all, Saturdays are pretty full at my end, right? That's
Okay.
one. Second,
It is not
when
compulsory that you also join.
okay, you want to have a conversation between the team, the participants. Yeah, I think you can do that. I can set up some time. That's not a problem at all. And in fact, I can request one of my team members to also moderate that. That's also possible, really possible. Will that help, Sumit? Sumit? I dropped. Sumit, can you hear me? Okay. Anyways, we can have this discussion on the on WhatsApp group and take it forward. But it's a good suggestion in case if you want to have a conversation between you, and I can provide you a moderator who can help. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sumit?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think yeah, you got dropped in between.
Yes, sir.
But
There
I
was
think it's a
mine.
good idea. In case if you want, I can set up 30 minutes discussion on Saturdays. I can request one of my team to moderate that. And also, in case if it is required, he can here. I mean, that person can actually help you
Yes, sir.
respond to those questions as well.
Yes,
I
sir.
can do that. Sure.
I
All
was
right.
just saying that if there is a placeholder in a calendar, if anybody, it is not compulsory that everybody should join. It was just like if somebody have some queries, because we don't have any separate channel to discuss anything there. So it was just a suggestion that if we have a placeholder in a calendar and we can have when on Saturdays, if we have some queries of the previous class, we can join in. Anybody from our group can also help them to resolve those queries.
Yeah, sure. We can do that. I just would request one thing at least. In case if there is a need for those session, I mean, in case if you think that okay, there are a few questions that you have, and you request that okay, can we have 30-minute discussion this Saturday to discuss this aspect? You can drop a message note
Sure.
on WhatsApp group, right? And I will do the needful.
Sure, sir. I'll do that.
Yeah. Okay, sure.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Amit. You
Thank
have
you.
a good rest of the Sunday. Thanks. Bye.
You do, sir. Bye bye.